Hey everybody, it's Grady at Twin Creek Audio, back in the studio today to mix another track through the Soundtracs Topaz recording console. Today I'm going to be mixing a kind of folky country song using the Soundtracs Topaz Project 8 console and maybe a couple of pieces of choice outboard gear. I'm not using a bus compressor today, but I may insert a compressor on something on here. I don't know. I'll show you what these tracks that I've got laid out are, and then if I hook up any compressors or other outboard gear, I'll show you that too before we do the mix. So hang on just a second, I'll be right back, and we'll look at all these tracks I've got laid out on the console for this mix. So this is going to be a pretty cool mix, and it's a little bit different than what I normally do, even though I'm mixing through the Topaz again. Let's start with looking at what I've got for drums. I've got kick and snare separately on channels 1 and 2 of the console. I've got a stereo pair of toms, and then I have stereo room mics. So the stereo room mics, it was actually an MS pair. So there are no overheads. There's just this stereo MS pair of room mics, and then because I was using hot sticks on the drums, I needed a little bit more tom. So I closed mic the toms, and then I've got those subgrouped to a stereo pair, so that's all 3 toms in stereo there. Then bass guitar, guitar 1 and guitar 2 are both electric guitars. Then we've got a steel guitar, which is actually a Gretsch lap steel that I played, the main acoustic guitar, a mandolin track, and a stereo piano track, both played by my good friend Heath Rogers. And then a stereo acoustic guitar fills track. So those are all the instruments and the channels they're on for this mix. Here's an overview of the Soundtracs Topaz Project 8 console set up for this mix. I have everything labeled here, and I showed you the close-up of that just a second ago. So this is the overall setup. I don't have anything going to any subgroups. All 16 channels are going straight over here to the main left-right mix bus. So let me break away now and show you the EQ settings and the 4 channels of compression that I've chosen to use on this mix. As far as what's going on the console, there is no EQ on the kick drum. That's turned off. Everything's straight up. On the snare drum there on channel 2, I'm boosting a little bit of 7K and a little bit of 12K, which is the high shelving filter on this console. And then on 3 and 4, which are the toms, I'm boosting a little bit around, looks like 220, 240, somewhere in that neighborhood. Just boosting that a little bit to give the toms more low end. Like I said before, I used hot sticks on the drums on this, so I don't have a lot as much resonance in the toms. The rest of these EQs are turned off and they're all flat. So most of these sounds are just the way that they were recorded, and it's a little bit different than a lot of my normal mixes and the way that I record things, but we're going to see what we get by mixing this through the Soundtracs Topaz today. Decided to use the DBX163X compressor on the bass guitar for this mix. We're not really compressing it too much. 3 to 6 dB at most. I'm using the LA Audio 4x4, just the compressor section of it, not using the gates, and that is the kick drum on the left hand side of the compressor and the snare drum on the right hand side. I decided to use the Symmetrix 501 compressor on the acoustic fills, which is not the main acoustic track. A lot of this is just uncompressed. Of course, the Topaz is going to do its thing to the sound too, but I put this 501 on actually just the left side of the fills, the acoustic guitar that's playing the little melody in the fills in this mix. The left side of it has the 501 and the right side is not compressed. Figured that might help give it a little bit of stereo spread. I just turned the knobs on this until it sounded right. Again, we're not compressing that acoustic very much, just a little bit. Let's hear it in stereo. So I'm not going overboard with a lot of EQ and a lot of compression on this mix. A lot of the sounds of these tracks are already baked into the track, because this being a kind of folksy country song, I wanted it to have a more natural feel to the mix and not sound super processed and super modern. I mean, it does have a pretty thick kick and snare sound now with the LA Audio 4x4, because that thing's awesome on drums. But overall, it has the nice kind of tonality that I want it to have this way. And again, a lot of those I got on the way in when I was recording these tracks, which was also the reason that I used the MS pair of room mics for the majority of the drum sound. So let's get started on this mix so we can hear what this sounds like. Well, that's the mix. You probably noticed I added a little bit of high end to the acoustic right at the beginning there. Just heard that as I was actually doing that take, and so I made that adjustment real quick. Well, I enjoyed that. It was interesting to me to see how something that I recorded in a different way than I usually do would sound when I mixed it through the Soundtracs Topaz. The Soundtracs Topaz, still, this is a great little console. I'm so proud of this thing and happy with how it sounds and how reliable it's been for me over the years that I've owned it. And it's always fun to do these mixing videos on the Topaz. I know a lot of you guys out there that have the Topazes and the Topaz group and Facebook and everything. You guys have all messaged me and we've discussed this console a lot. And I still think this is one of the best little consoles that you can get. Well, it's not really little, relatively speaking, I guess. But it's just a great console. Sounds good, good EQ. This one has been extremely reliable for me, and it's always a pleasure to make another video with the Soundtracs Topaz. So this guy's going to stay around, even though I've got some other gear videos coming up that don't involve the Topaz. It'll probably still be involved in some way or another, mic preamps and that kind of thing. And I'll be back eventually with more mixing videos on the Topaz and other consoles, such as the Yamaha RM804 over here, which that one's going to be leaving soon. But I'm always trying to switch out some things around here to keep different and interesting videos coming your way on this channel. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Very much appreciate you watching. Don't forget to check the links in the description for music and different kinds of streaming audio that you can listen to that goes to help support this channel. And also don't forget to tell your friends that are into this kind of stuff about the Twin Creek Audio YouTube channel, as well as liking this video and subscribing to the channel. And I hope you all have an excellent day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, hour, minute, second, nanosecond, whatever it is you're having. Have a good one. And thanks again for watching.